Hi, I'm Megan. This week I wanted to talk about white line disease, and I'm going to try to share this as quickly as possible, just kind of a brief overview of white line and my words of wisdom after dealing with it for almost 2.5 years in one of my mares. So I'm just going to kind of read. I have about 18 pages of notes here with everything that we've done with her. So I don't want to make this video super long. I just want to give you some basic information, and then if you have a horse you're wondering about or a friend, you can definitely contact me and I'd be happy to share everything with you. My goal with this video, I've waited until my horse is about 100% healed. She has probably 5 weeks left, but I wanted to have everything together so that I could try to help as many people as possible. This is something I see on Facebook groups, people asking questions about it all the time, and I want to be able to help so that people don't have to go through what I've gone through. So basically, I'm going to have some pictures showing what I'm talking about, but she cut her coronet band May 25th of 2015. No big deal. It was only about 1 inch. It wasn't very deep. It barely bled. As my boyfriend says, it was a long ways from her heart. So I didn't think anything of it. What happened, though, is a crack started growing out from, a vertical crack started growing out of the horizontal crack in her coronet band. And so she had to be shooed as that was getting completely grown out so that her foot, it wouldn't get any worse, but wasn't lame or anything. Until August of 2016, there was about 1 inch of the crack left to grow out. And then she started going lame off and on. So we tried pads. If she had pads, she was fine. I didn't like really having pads on her feet because I felt like that was covering up the reason that she was lame. But that's what my farrier recommended, and it seemed to help. But by October, you can see what her hoof looked like. It was rotting out. So my farrier didn't really say much. He just cut it out, said he'd seen a video on Facebook or somewhere, and cut it out so it looked like this. And that was it. Well, she continued to be lame, and luckily I ended up taking her to Arizona with us after Thanksgiving. We were going to take a couple horses, do some trail riding, and brought her with because I couldn't just really throw her in a snowbank for the winter in Minnesota. Brought her along hoping to ride her. While I got her down there, I tried to take her on a trail ride. We came back on 3 legs. She was horrible. A farrier down there had said I could fill in the toe, which was the same thing my farrier at home had said. Fill in the toe so it didn't look so bad. Well, I didn't really care what it looked like. I wanted to know why it looked like that, but I don't know why I didn't do any research on my own, but I just didn't. So they said fill it in. I filled it in. Then we ended up flying home for Christmas. I brought her to a different barn in Tucson. She had an indoor stall, cleaned twice a day, really nice place. So I felt safe leaving her there while we went home. When I came back, she was still lame, and I thought I need to figure out what's going on. So I talked to the lady that owned the barn. Luckily, she had a fantastic farrier. He was a Nanrick farrier, studied, went to clinics every year, was extremely knowledgeable about white line disease. So I had sent him a picture of Joey's hoof. He said, without seeing her in person, he said, I'm pretty sure I can say that she has white line disease. So he came and confirmed what he had thought. Yes, she had white line disease. Said we needed to resect most of her hoof because it was rotten. And he had a vet came, did x-rays just so he could see how much hoof he needed to take out of there. And you can see by the pictures, that's what we were left with. Not only did we have to take off most of her hoof, she also had 8-degree rotation of her coffin bone because there was no support in her hoof for so long. They figured this had been going on about a year. White line is a separation in the hoof wall and is considered to be a delaminating process potentially brought on from mechanical stress, environment conditions affecting the inner hoof wall attachment, and possibly some toxicity such as selenium. The separation, which can originate at the toe, the quarter, and or the heel, seems to be invaded by opportunistic bacteria, fungi, leading to infection. This then progresses to varying heights and configurations proximally toward the coronet. This disease process occurs secondary to a hoof wall separation. It's also been called seedy toe hoof wall disease, yeast infection, candida, and onychomycosis. So not only did he have to take off most of her hoof, we noted that she had the coffin bone was rotated. We had to have a venogram done to, first of all, make sure she was going to be able to heal. She had to have blood flow going to that foot. They'd had another horse in this barn that had white line, did not have blood flow. He was much younger, and he had to be put down because without blood flow, he couldn't heal. So I had 2 sleepless nights waiting for the results of that. But thank God it came back that she had very good blood flow. And you can see from the pictures, the blood going into her foot. So the prognosis they gave her was after the venogram. And what the venogram was, they put a tourniquet on her foot and injected dye while taking 4 films within 45 seconds. And the x-rays before had shown that we caught it just before the infection got into her bones. So had I waited, had I left her at home, her prognosis would have been completely different. But it seemed like the cards, as God is great, and we ended up where we needed to be with her to get her the help she needed. So Brian had resected the hoof with nippers and a Dremel tool, cauterized it with a blowtorch, and put her in a larger shoe than what she had been in, and she was put on stall rest until her hoof was 50% grown out, which was going to take about 3 to 4 months. It was important to keep her foot dry. Hand walking her was okay, no trotting, loping, etc. So the farrier at that time said he needed to get her 15 to 20 millimeters of sole growth underneath the coffin bone, and she'd be a happy camper. He said he could correct the positioning of her coffin bone, and sometime down the road she could be put into somewhat of a conventional shoe. He wasn't worried about the white line. We were in Arizona. It was dry. It was warm. She was in a stall. It was clean. I could not bring her back to Minnesota and put her out in the snow, or, the best opportunity for her hoof to grow the fastest, and that was confirmed by the farrier down there and the vet down there, well, both vets that looked at her, was to keep her where she was. So luckily we had our living quarters horse trailer. I work remotely. My boyfriend is laid off in the winter and had a friend down there he was helping who had some of his horses, so he was able to stay busy, and we made the best out of it. I mean, obviously Tucson, when we live in northern Minnesota, Tucson was a fantastic place to be for the winter, but not, we didn't want to or plan on being gone for that long. But like I said, we were in the best place for Joey, and thank God, because I believe going there saved her life. So she was put on a Platinum Performance pack daily. He used a conventional wide web shoe with a wedge pad, used Vet Tech product under the pad heel for support and cushion. He eventually added up doing rockers and an aluminum rail shoes to help with hoof growth, corrective shoeing until her foot grows out approximately 8 months. And all of that should help straighten the coffin bone. Prevention of white line is difficult because the exact cause is unknown. Diagnosing or discussing the problem with the farrier and having him or her examine each foot when the horse is shod is extremely important. Any small abnormal area involving the sole wall junction should be explored and treated. Proper trimming and shoeing along with maintaining a short toe, very important, short toe, which Joey did not have, is essential for creating a strong sole wall junction that offers protection. Equally important is the necessity to carefully monitor horses that have previously had white line disease. A year or 2 after white line has been treated and resolved, it will suddenly reappear in some horses with strong hoof walls that show no sign of separation. White line disease will often recycle time and again over the horse's life. So this is something that I'm going to have to be aware of for the rest of her life. So I had done x-rays in January. I did them again in June. I'm going to have them done again in 6 months, and then maybe every year after that, and we'll see how it goes. I hate to do x-rays, but I also hated her having to go through all of this. So I guess it's probably the lesser of 2 evils, and I'm doing everything with essential oils to keep her immune system healthy so she doesn't get this again. So in March, the hoof was growing out great, the end of March, and the farrier said no need to be concerned about resecting the hoof section. He did put her in rockers that was going to encourage the hoof to grow out even quicker. It also takes the weight off the front of the hoof where she had the resection. She was off stall rest at the end of March, which I'll put a video on there showing how happy she was. I mean, imagine a 5-year-old stuck in a stall for 4 months, only being able to hand walk her, and she's an athlete and loves to run. So it was a miserable time for her. It was kind of tough on all of us, but anyway, got her home. When I was in Tucson, I didn't really have to do a lot of cleaning with her foot because it was so warm and dry. When I got her home, it was spring in Minnesota, so it was kind of muddy. I had to keep her in when it was rainy and icky. I also used the Animal Desk reference and soaked her foot in Thieves Household Cleaner with some oils, and then before I would do that, I'd put certain oils on any part that was resected, let it sit for 10 minutes, then soak it in the boot. And I can go through that with you if you have any questions of how I did that. I wanted to do natural, obviously, anything I can do to boost her immune system. I don't want any toxins in her body or mine, and I just want to do the healthiest things I can with her. I also have to wire brush her foot every day. She still gets a platinum pack every day. I am going to switch her to Ninja Red every day and stop doing the platinum pack just because I feel like the benefits of Ninja Red will be so much better for her. She's had chiropractic care the entire time. Massage really helps keep her shoulders loosened up because she was not so much limping on that leg, but she favors it. You know, it's not 100% and because of that, her shoulders get really stiff. So the chiropractor and massage make a huge difference in keeping her comfortable and moving as fluid as I can keep her. She's been lame off and on, but really she's you know, she doesn't have her foot isn't grown out, her hoof, it's not all the way grown out. So let's see, I don't need to go through all of this stuff, but basically I'll show you the pictures of yesterday. She's not lame, she's moving around really nicely in the pasture. She has a rockered toe shoe on. We're watching her angles, her hoof's growing out, it's healthy. I'm also using the Animal Sense ointment and rubbing that around her coronet band and around her hoof and the sole just to keep as many good things going in there as possible after I wire brush it every day. I also spray her sometimes with my Thieves Household Cleaner mixture, coconut oil, rub that around her coronet band. It may be overkill, but I feel like I can't get as enough good stuff in this horse's body because I don't want this coming back. So my goal now is to just keep her as healthy as possible. My words of wisdom, the thing that I wish that I would have done is I can't stress enough how important it is to have a farrier who is familiar with white line disease. Having an experienced farrier that's done his craft for years is fantastic, but with white line disease and with farrier schools and clinics they have and continuing ed, they're learning so much all the time about white line disease and lameness issues and what to be doing and what works. If I would have had a farrier that was familiar with white line, none of this wouldn't have happened. Like, I could have caught it right away. I believe I would have been recommended to have x-rays, so I would have seen right away, maybe when that crack was halfway grown out or whatever, just to check and make sure she didn't have white line, which would have been a really easy way to catch this before it overtook her entire hoof. And it would have saved her a lot of pain and misery. And, well, maybe not misery, but she's pretty happy. But it would have saved 2.5 years of messing around, and I could have been riding her instead of just doctoring and wire brushing her foot every day. And she wouldn't have had to go through everything she did. And secondly, a healthy immune system. Evidently, she wasn't getting what she needed to keep that bacteria from invading her body. So that's why now prevention is so important to me and keeping good things in her body to keep her healthy so she doesn't get this back again. So hopefully this was healthy, and it is healthy, but hopefully this is helpful. If you have any friends, if you have a horse with a crack, if you have any questions about white line disease, please get a hold of me. This video was helpful and you think it'll help someone else, please like and share. I hope that this can prevent someone from going through this, and let me know if you have any questions. Until next time, have a great week.